Thanks, Alec, for having us here. Yeah. Uh, we are on a very. So this is what basically we had earlier also spoken on Elets and back, and that was more on data. Now we have Vinod with us. Now, I'm Sandeep Bhosle. I'm from JM Financial Asset Management Company. Vinod heads the data at Southern Bank, and the reason why we have Vinod, basically we want to have talk about how the big data is going about and how as a bank they are looking out for it. Yeah. So Vinod, just over to you. Give me a brief, in fact, that how we are presently as a bank looking at big data. And the most important question, when you look at this, what do you put in first? Do you put in ROI first? Do you put in the customer first? Do you put in the bank first? Do you put in the infosec first? What do you start? What is the first thing that comes to your mind?
First of all, thanks, Elets, for having me here. Really my honor to actually be sitting here and talking in front of the industry leaders. I think it's a very very interesting point that you have made up, right? You have just made regarding what is it that we're going to put first. I don't think, right, it is always one at the expense of the other. See, for example, we are going to put the customer first. Obviously, that is going to lead to a customer delight, therefore more business through the same customers. Today, we know how social media operates. Even anything good also gets multiplied very, very fast. And therefore, you can get, an opportunity to get in more customers into your fold. Obviously, that is going to benefit the bank. So, I think when we're looking at data and analytics, right? I think how we see it is, what is the objective of, let's say, a specific analytics project that we are taking up. For example, if it is a risk scorecard, right? Here we are worried about two things, and both these things are very important. We don't want customers who have got the good intent and has got the capacity to repay the loan. We don't want to leave a single customer. The model should be able to capture that customer's application, look at it favorably, and get it into a fast track mode. At the same time, where a particular customer's, the risks which are associated with that customer are too high, right? We want the model to actually give us that insight, give us that prediction accurately, so that we can kind of omit that customer from bringing into our fold. So when you're talking of customer first also, it is not really a very a shallow interpretation of ensuring that the analytics is going to help bring in all the customers. I think it's all driven by the objective of the customer, at the same or of the analytics project that we are taking up. At the same time, if you're talking of something like a propensity model, right, where we are wanting to find out which of these customers are likely to take a particular offering for us, from us, we would like to include as many customers as possible who are beyond that particular threshold, of propensity that we have set up. So everything becomes a cost-benefit analysis. And what analytics is helping us to do is to strike that balance and ensure that the benefit is accruing, keeping the cost at the minimum.
So on the propensity thing, where do you think, when you see overall the BFSI as a sector, are we still on a reactive mode, or still we are on a proactive mode? Or are whenever you are placing your ML models and everything in place, so where do you see as an industry, still we are reactive or proactive?
I think the transition to make things proactive has already begun, right? See, when you are talking of, let's say, for example, every month, there are so many pre-approved offers, which we are giving to our liability customers. It is not really reactive. We are not waiting for the customer to actually make a loan application to us, right? So we are being a bit proactive. We are able to understand that, this particular customer is well within the risk appetite for the bank. We are also able to understand that this customer also has a high propensity or a probability of taking that offering. And that is how the campaigns are also addressed are structured. But if you're talking of a proactive, which is a disruption, I remember an anecdote about, probably the then US president actually telling Graham Bell when he demoed the telephone operation, saying that, oh, this is a wonderful piece of invention, but of what use is it going to be to mankind, right? Now, and we all know what use it is right now. So that is a disruptive level of proactivity where the customer, even the customer doesn't know that there is a need, but once that fulfillment of the need is present to the customer, it's going to be an extremely delightful experience to the customer. And it is also going to make a huge market impact. I think that is something which is on the banking industry, but I would believe that, we've still not cracked that.
So as a bank, basically, you will be more of a custodian of your customers' data. There's a lot of data, basically. Sometimes we feel that you people will know more than the customer knows about himself somewhere, right? And that's how basically you are going to make his life simple. So, but as when we see banks, basically they have done over the years, they have done a fantastic job. From the branch, they have got him on the web to transact, and today most of your customers may not be facing somewhere. So given all these things, given all your big data or analytics or your proactive models which you are placing right now, where do you see the future going in? Because tomorrow, as a customer, it's a copy world. It's a copy world today. It's a one bank or one institution, and it's going to be copied somewhere else. And the customer is going to become an open book at some point of time. You see. So, given all this context, where do you see your customer or application of all these things? Is it going to be a difficult time? Is it going to be an easy time? Or when you read the customer more, what do you foresee out?
So, see, typically, yes, I mean, what you're saying is right. What is private data, right, is not really that private anymore. And it is also in a way, I mean, we ourselves volunteer with so much of information and we put it out on the web through the social media handles, through professional handles or whatever. So it is a little bit of web crawling and data scraping is going to give any data scientist so much of insights about the customer, which can be used for pitching the best product which he or she is looking for, right? So I think the future, I mean, as to how is it? I mean, as you rightly said, once something is being done by any one bank, it's going to be easily copied and replicated by another bank. I think that the differentiation is going to be about how well each bank or financial institution converts that raw data into some very clear and actionable insights. And that conversion process from the data to the clear insights, right? If there are a lot of innovative processes around that, patented processes around that, I think that is going to give any bank a huge differentiation in the market, which can also sustain over a period of time. See, today there are, I mean, options. Everybody, people used to use logistic regression. Now they moved into ML-based models. People used to build their models. Now it is all open source. And because open source is not very, obviously it is at zero cost. So people tend to quickly go for that because they can go for a very quick deployment into that. But I think it will definitely help the banks and financial institutions that while they are doing that, for their business as usual, it'll be a good idea to invest something in the research where, there's no question asked in terms of what is going to be my return on investment for those specific projects.
So when you're saying on investments, and right now when you're saying that the transition from reactive to proactive, it has already begun. You're putting your machine ML models in place. How do you see the role of AI, which will come in fact, in the coming days, in the coming months or coming years? And given, correct me if I'm wrong, still somewhere AI is a black box, is a black box. There will be regulations that will be coming in, and that will be a lot of sensitive data that will go in and come out. So how do you as a bank look at it when you think that AI needs to be invested, or as you said, it has to be invested clearly from a service point of view?
See, typically there are two or three things out here, right? Now, not all black boxes, in my personal opinion, are really bad, right? It all depends on what is the deployment of the model that you're going to do. If, for example, you're going to deploy this model as a risk scorecard, right, where we are going to take decisions of go and no go, right? So obviously the regulator is going to frown if that is going to be a black box because we don't know what kind of variables are being used. In fact, in a lot of evolved, markets, even the kind of parameters which can be tested out, right, can be questioned, right? I don't think that is happening here at the moment, but we are on that. I mean, RBI is literally on the threshold of that. So therefore, I think we all need to be responsible about having transparency in those kind of models. We should be in a position to tell our customer whether we are going ahead with the loan application or not, and if not, why exactly we are not going ahead with it. Right? I think it's a basic responsible bankers and financial institutions. I think we need to do
It's a question that normally comes up. Why, as you said rightly, why you are rejecting something through a model? How are you trying to address that? Basically, do customers ask it? Exactly why?
Of course.
Yeah. And how do you address it back?
So basically, I mean, we are using clean parameters. What I mean by clean parameters is, parameters where you don't use gender or, the religion, caste, those kind of parameters are definitely what I typically call black parameters because they are circumstantial. And these things in an evolving demographic landscape, even the power of these variables to differentiate risk will also change almost overnight, right? So therefore, once we know, I mean, once you blacklist certain parameters, and then you use statistical techniques, which will help us to build a level of explainability. I think we are not breaching any regulatory guidelines. We are not breaching even your, forget about the regulator. I think this should be a self-regulatory kind of a thing, right? Otherwise, we may end up overdoing it, and then there'll be a complete full stop to using AI ML-based scorecards. However, there are certain areas, right, where probably an ML model will be able to differentiate much better. Like, for example, identifying a potential mule account in liability banking. Now, if you look at it in, let's say, in perspective, probably it will be 0.01%, 0.05% of the entire population who are trying to open bank accounts, who are probably, fraudsters or, potential mule account operators. Building a traditional model or an explainable AI will never give us the right result. You may just end up with false positives. And at some point of time, you may just want to throw away the model and do it manually because anyway the model is not really helping. So this is where I think a self-learning ML kind of a model will be able to do a much better job in raising the triggers, right? And second thing is, of course, a very related thing is in the fraud, scorecard, which you're using in the loan side. If there's an identity theft, which has been carried out by that potential loan applicant. So these kind of events, which are extremely limited when you see it in relation to the overall base, but where the loss given default or the implication of that event happening, if that is going to become too huge, then I think black boxes can become extremely handy. And as far as it is not something that, becomes slightly unethical to use, I think that's a fair thing to use.
Fair point. All black boxes are not bad, basically. Yeah, Roshan. So one thing, recently we saw some, not regulations exactly, but papers around artificial intelligence and AI. Somewhere we think also that it's a positive sign also, basically because we as an industry have started looking towards this in a structured format. When do you think will be the industry very much completely ready to invest in the proper? Because today we see investments in this field in fragments or experimental basis, or there may be companies with the high firepower will be investing in heavily. But when we come to the startup below that, and then we see a lot of experimentation. Hey, let's do it. Let's try it. Let's do it. When do you think this should change, and what are the things that are needed to change this kind of view?
See, I don't think, basically, ultimately we are all commercial organizations, right? So definitely in our mind, the return on investment is
ROI
going to
matters.
way down, right? Anything that is not going to go away. So I don't think there's going to be a commercial organization which is going to really, invest without bottom so much on AI, and in the belief that, in the next 10 years, probably my profitability will justify the investment I'm going to make. So I think, and probably if you go back 2-3 decades, that is how the technology also started. There were very small investments happening for the technological upgradation. There was just the back-end processes which were, computerized, as we used to call them at that point of time. Then the results, the cost savings were there to be seen. And then slowly we started computerizing the front-end processes. And then that is how the entire thing has grown. So probably I may even venture to say that maybe that is how it should be done also, right? We don't want a golden goose to be killed, right? So this is a constantly evolving field, and it is very important for the companies to sustain their investments in this over a long period of time, rather than to, empty their pockets into a particular line, and then God forbid something goes wrong with that particular line of investment and the returns don't fetch in, we shouldn't switch back to the manual ledgers, right? So I think it will be a constant movement of short investments, seeing the returns on the investment, then investing slightly deeper, then getting more returns out of it, and then start to bet in the medium term.
Thanks, Vinod. I think that's thanks for explaining in short. So, it's a key takeaways if I can take in is that all black boxes are not bad. One, so we still have a more of a wait and watch, but I think that will be on a fast track. But the aspiration to do the innovation is heavily on that one. And in your field exactly, I think from what you have said, it has really made the life of all underwriting very easy on the scorecards and innovation. So that's for us. Any questions from us? We will be happy to take it. Yeah, Vinod will be also happy to answer it. Okay, yeah. Thanks
Thank you.
a lot.
Thank you, General.